Okay, so what if the whole point of having wealth isn't what we think it is at all? We're going to dive into this really unique teaching that links money right here on Earth to our actual place in the cosmos. And trust me, it might just flip the way you see everything. All right, so to kick things off, we got to start with a super famous and honestly super debated statement. You've probably heard it, but it's one of those lines that has stumped people for centuries. It creates this huge paradox when it comes to money and, being a good person.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard this one before. On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Like a really harsh judgment on rich people. And that leads everyone to ask one simple but really tough question.
I mean, that's what most of us would think, right? But what if that whole idea is just wrong? What if the question itself is the problem? Because according to the source material we're looking at today, there's a totally different way to think about this. So this is where it gets interesting. This teaching completely reframes the whole thing. It says, hey, forget about judging someone's character based on their money. It's not about that. It's about purpose. It's about responsibility. It basically says the wealthy have a very specific job. And you can see that shift right here. The common view, the rich are evil. But this view, nope. It's that the wealthy have failed their mission. It's not about who they are, it's about what they did, or rather what they didn't do. It's like a general who's given this massive, powerful army but just never goes to battle. Okay, so how does that work? Well, the idea is that wealth isn't just random luck. It's seen as this form of high mass energy. And it naturally flows to people who have, get this, a large spiritual mass. Think of them as being able to handle it. Their mission, their job, is to use that energy for everybody else, for the good of society. And this right here is the absolute core of the problem. It's not about having the wealth, it's about what you do with it. If you just hoard it, you become what this teaching calls a warehouse keeper. You're just sitting on this huge pile of resources instead of putting it to work for the world. That's the mission failure. So why is this mission so dang important? To get that, we have to zoom way, way out, like cosmic level out. We need to look at this teaching's explanation for why we're even here on Earth to begin with. And let me tell you, the answer is probably not what you're expecting. Here it is. The core idea is that we are originally gods, and this Earth is our training ground. Wild, right? So our life here is temporary, and it's all about learning. The teaching says we're not actually human, deep down. We're divine beings, gods, who've come here for a very specific kind of school. And this paints such a huge picture, Our entire galaxy is basically one big school, or maybe even a prison designed for training. We pop into these human bodies to learn lessons you can only learn through physical experience. And the ultimate goal? To graduate, which is called Heital, and finally leave this cosmic classroom. So what does that journey actually look like? Well, you can see the steps here. It's not about memorizing facts from a text up. No, it's about experiencing the full, messy, beautiful, painful spectrum of life. And through all that, we're generating something super valuable. So when we finally graduate, we go back to the cosmos with this incredible new power to actually help run the universe. Okay, so if Earth is a school, what's on the curriculum? Simple. Experience. Everything, every single thing we feel, think, and do. That's the lesson plan. And according to this source, that whole process produces this really unique, really powerful kind of energy, the kind you can only make right here in a human body. This is what makes us so special in this cosmic setup. It's this ability for what's called infinite differentiation. It's a fancy way of saying we can feel, analyze, and tell the difference between a zillion different things: pain, joy, complex thoughts, the difference between bitter and sweet, love and hate. That's our unique job.
And there's a name for what we produce through all this experience: quantum energy. So think about this for a second. Every thought you have, every emotion, every scientific breakthrough, it's not just a passing thing. It's actually creating real, non-physical energy. From this point of view, humanity is like a cosmic engine, literally producing the fuel that helps run the entire universe. Whoa.
Okay, so let's bring it all back. How does this cosmic school and quantum energy stuff connect back to rich people, the afterlife, and that whole camel through a needle's eye thing? Well, this whole framework gives us a completely different model for what happens when we die. And the source is super clear about this. Nobody gets left behind, okay? Everyone goes back to the cosmos. There's no hell like we usually think of it. There are just different jobs, different positions. And where you end up isn't a reward or a punishment. It's a direct result of the kind of energy you created and the understanding you gained while you were here. And boom, that's the answer to the paradox we started with. The warehouse keeper, that wealthy person who just sat on their money, they don't get sent to some fiery pit. They just miss their shot. A huge opportunity, gone. They were given the tools to create a massive amount of good energy for the world. And because they didn't, they limited their own potential. They just end up with a lower ranking gig in the cosmos. And that really brings the whole thing right back home, doesn't it? Back to us. Because if life really is this cosmic school, then it's not just about the mission of the wealthy, it's about every single one of us. So the final question is, what kind of energy are you producing? What's your specific role in this whole cosmic plan?